Greetings everyone, my name is Sai, and I'm willing to bet there are a few things you didn't know about the original Bioshock. Let's play a game with this video. If you learned one new thing, I want you to give this video a like. But if you already knew all 10 facts, I want you to leave a dislike guilt-free. Because if you already knew everything, that means I didn't do my job properly. Also, this video will be spoiling the entire game, so you have been warned. So without further ado, here are 10 things you didn't know about Bioshock. Number 10. While fooling you into helping him, Atlas/Fontaine uses a lot of tricks to deceive you. Sure, the "would you kindly" phrase is the main kicker, but he seems to try and keep you on his side so you don't notice the mind control plasmid in the first place. One of the things he tells you is that he has a son and a wife named Patrick and Moira. But if you're paying attention inside Fort Frolic, you might notice posters for the Sandro Cohen production of a play coincidentally titled Patrick and Moira. You know, for someone supposedly as brilliant as Fontaine, stealing names from a movie that your brainwashed drone could see ads for at any point seems like a bit of an oversight. Number 9. Have you ever wanted to actually visit Rapture? I'm not sure why you'd want to visit this underwater hell, but if for some demented reason you still think vacationing here is a good idea, then Google's got your travel plans covered. Just hop on a Google Earth and enter in these coordinates and bam, there's the Rapture Lighthouse. So go ahead and book your tickets today. Number 8. You know, I've never liked the whole ghost-seeing mechanic in the Shock games. They're basically just a flashback cutscene where you can still walk and look around. I don't know, it just strikes me as a lazy way to give exposition. But Bioshock did improve on this plot point slightly from when it was used in System Shock. The reason you can see the ghosts of residents around Rapture is that the atom in the city is constantly moving from person to person as they get killed, and the ghost you're seeing is just the result of the atom inside you sampling the memories of its old hosts and passing them on. So I think that it fits better thematically than, your robot eyes can just see ghosts, deal with it, which was the explanation in System Shock 2. Number 7. In Bioshock, there are only 2 models of Big Daddies, the Bouncer and the Rosie, with the spin-off Elite versions of both later in the game. But during the game's development, a third Big Daddy model was planned, but scrapped prior to release. Called the Slow Pro, this Big Daddy was intended as a slow-range type that would fire a heavy projectile at enemies with its large arm-mounted cannon. In an interview with Game Trailers, designers revealed that it was cut from the game late in development due to deadline constraints, and that it was the one feature they would have liked to have kept most out of all the cut content. But not all was lost for the Slow Pro, because Bioshock 2 introduced an updated version of it, renamed to the Rumbler, that functioned in basically the same way. Number 6. Speaking of cut features, there were some plasmids and tonics that got the axe prior to the game's release, but with the magic of PC gaming, we can use a pseudo-developer command console to open them again. These include things like Organic Pockets, a physical tonic that doubles your capacity for holding recovery items and ammo, as well as upgraded versions of Telekinesis and Clever Inventor. Number 5. So in the Arcadia Farmers Market, if you should happen to go into the Worley Winery, it's quite possible that you might run across a nice little Easter egg 2K threw in. Proceeding into the right corner of the main lobby reveals a Pacman reference, with Pacman being made out of cheese and bullet holes being employed to simulate pellets. So presumably, some splicer must have gotten a hold of some kind of future-seeing plasmid, because Bioshock is set in 1960, 20 years before Pacman would be invented. That said, the mental image of a splicer sitting down on the floor and whittling away at a piece of cheese and shooting holes in the floor to reference something no one else will understand for 20 years is kinda funny. Number 4. Did you know the Irrational Games business logo is hidden inside the game itself? In the game's opening, where Jack is on the plane, you can look inside his wallet and see that he has an Irrational Games business card. It's upside down and kind of hard to make out, but if we look at that wallet's base texture in the game files, then we can flip it around, and you can just make out the IRRAT in Irrational. You can also see the Irrational Eye logo on the projector wheel in Sandro Cohen's office inside of Fort Frolic. Number 3. Bioshock underwent many design changes from the time it was pitched to the final product. For example, the original concept for the game was set in a 50s-style futuristic city that took place on land and inside interconnected controlled environment chambers. Think Singularity if crossed with Portal. These laboratories would be full of dead human bodies and be filled with various insectoid life forms. One of these life forms, called Gatherers, would collect genetic material while being protected by a second form of life forms, called Protectors, from the last form of life forms, the predatory Aggressors. These eventually developed into the Little Sisters, Big Daddies, and Splicers respectively, when the developers decided they wanted a more human angle to the game. Also, you can actually see some of the original designs in the art book for Bioshock, which you should really check out because most of the imagery on display is appealingly screwed up. Among other things promised in this first idea concept pitch was the ability to alter the controlled environments, such as raising the temperature in an area while also using a plasmid that protected you from heat exhaustion. Also, further into the game's development, the creators wanted Jack to mutate more and more with plasmid use, which would then make the players have to decide if they want to become more like a splicer to survive, or refuse, keeping their humanity at the cost of less safety. And I must say, I am quite disappointed something like this didn't end up making it into the actual game, because it would have presented actual choices that would have had far more overreach and impact than the asinine renegade kill or Paragon save little sister thing that barely made a difference outside of which cutscene played after defeating Fontaine. Number 2. Remember the Circus of Values? Yeah, those awful vending machines that would endlessly spout the same 2 lines of dialogue at you every time you used them. Well, guess what? The voice acting for those machines was done by none other than Ken Levine himself. Yep, the man behind every shot game actually thought to himself, you know, if I want the player to gouge out their eardrums with rusty nails each time they need to restock on health kits, then that voice acting job I need to do myself. Oh, and trivia bit number 2.5, that picture of a clown on top of the machine is actually an edited image from a fruit crate label for JoJo brand melons. Number 1. Okay, you all have your tinfoil hats on, right? Good, let's talk conspiracy theories. There's an underlying conspiracy that goes not only across all shot games, but several games that aren't even in the same franchise or made by the same studio. The only linking theme in each of these games is that someone on the development team was a previous employee of Looking Glass Studios. That is, that the first lock code of each game is a reference to the book Fahrenheit 451. In System Shock 1, for example, the first lock door could be opened with the code 451. In its sequel, System Shock 2, the cryo area door could be opened with the code 45100. In Bioshock, 0451 is used to open the first locked door in the funeral parlor. In Bioshock 2, the code 1540, which is 451 reversed for the slow of memory, opens the first locked door in the game. In Bioshock Infinite, it's the first code in the game used to open a locked door. In Deus Ex, 0451 was used to open a code through a locked armory, and then twice afterwards to both unlock a van and a door later in the game. In its sequel, Deus Ex Invisible War, the number isn't a code, but rather the room number of the first unlockable door in the game. In Deus Ex Human Revolution, 0451 is used to access an elevator, and then used again in the first code of the game's DLC, The Missing Link. In Dishonored, the first safe combination in the game is 451. In Gone Home, 0451 unlocks the top drawer of a file cabinet. And in The Novelist, the location of a house is 451 Torrington Road. You have to wonder if 451 isn't some kind of code with a higher purpose. Like, maybe that computer in the Hitchhiker's Guide got it wrong, and the actual answer to everything isn't 42, but 451. Or maybe it's the code to activate the Stargate. Or maybe the developers are all just massive nerds. All equally likely. Hello everyone, that was 10 things you didn't know about Bioshock, and I hope you enjoyed it. Remember to leave a thumbs up if you learned something new, and of course thumbs down if you already knew everything, because if that's the case, then I didn't do my job properly. Also, I've got more 10 things you didn't know videos coming down the pipeline very soon, and I want you all to see them. So, would you kindly subscribe to Cyborg Gaming? I know that you now don't have a choice, but I appreciate it either way. Also, you see that email right there? 10tydk trivia@thecyborg.com. If you'd like to, you can submit trivia there for consideration for a future 10 Things You Didn't Know video, which is very much appreciated because otherwise I might not have the material to keep this series going, so be sure to send your trivia in. Also be sure to check out my Facebook, Twitter, and Patreon pages, which are all linked on the screen now and in the description below this video. So thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Later.